everyone, I am Shuchi Bhatnagar welcoming you to episode 2 of Fair Advice Live. In episode 1, we had our in-house expert Sushmita Datta explaining to us what is P2P lending and why it should be part of our investment portfolio. In this episode, we will discuss how to maximize returns from this latest asset class. Welcome Sushmita.
Thank you, Shuchi. I'm doing well. Thank you so much.
So Sushmita, let's start with what kind of returns can we expect from a P2P lending marketplace like Faircent.com?
Well, returns vary anything between 12 to 26% and maybe onwards. Now, overall, a lender can look at an annualized return of 18 to 22%. Now, the returns largely depend on a person's risk appetite. So, a better question in this regard would be to understand how to balance risk and return. The answer to this question is to build a diversified portfolio.
So, when you say diversified portfolio, you mean diversified portfolio of borrowers. Lenders should build a diversified portfolio of borrowers, right? So, how does a lender build a diversified portfolio?
Firstly, the rule of the thumb is not to put all your eggs in one basket. Okay? Target 100 borrowers. So, these borrowers should be across different risk categories, which may be low, medium, high and very high risk.
Okay.
You should always keep multiple options. Now, when I talk about low, medium, high or very high, these risk categories have been ascertained by the underwriting mechanism at Faircent.com, okay, which again calculates around 120 parameters through a technology based methodology and also through physical verification. That's how we arrive at.
So basically what you're saying is that all borrowers are classified into various risk buckets.
Absolutely.
Depending upon their credit worthiness, which is calculated using the underwriting mechanism that you have in Faircent.
That's right. That's right. And they would give any investor different kinds of yield depending on the risk category.
Oh, so for example, a borrower who has whose credit worthiness is very high, has a very high his very stable background.
Yes, all this credit worthiness is calculated on ability, stability and intention of the borrower. Okay. So, Faircent has a very mature underwriting engine, okay, which would calculate how the risk has to be assigned to, calculating all the parameters, and that's how we would arrive at a particular risk category and a particular interest rate and an average interest rate assigned to the borrower.
So, a low risk stable borrower would probably also mean lower rate of interest.
Yes.
And probably a slightly more riskier, won't say is risky the right word to use, or should I say somebody with little less stable background would probably.
Yes, with a less stable background would fall into a higher risk category.
So, and a lender should diversify by putting little monies across all these categories.
To create a diversified portfolio depending on the total available funds which is there for him.
So, as we were just discussing that you are using a very high state of the high technology based tech enabled underwriting mechanism, and to judge a person's ability, stability of a borrower. What are the risks associated with this kind of an investment when the lender jumps into this fray? What should he be looking out for?
Well, there is always an inherent risk that the borrower may default. This is across risk categories. Okay. Now, having said that, if anybody is jumping into the business without understanding what exactly it is, then he might end up burning his fingers. But then risk can always be managed and mitigated. Okay. And herein, it should be compared to a stock market. Even a stock market is a risky option, or any market linked investment is a risky option. So, if a person is not taking any risk, then there is no gain. So, to make substantial gains, you need to manage and mitigate the risks well.
Okay. And how does Faircent manage and mitigate risk for the lenders? Does Faircent also help the lenders?
The first step that Faircent ensures is that only genuine borrowers come onto the website, and it is checked through various technology and through physical verification means. Now, the second step that Faircent tries to ensure is it tries to diversify an investor's portfolio into different loans. That is, it encourages only 20% of the entire loan amount to be invested by one particular investor for a one borrower.
Okay, that's interesting. So basically, if a borrower is looking for 100 rupees, only 20 rupees can be funded
By one individual, by one lender. So every loan would ideally have 5 lenders.
Okay, that's good.
And also that Faircent has a very strong due diligence process. It follows all processes which is required, including collection of post-dated checks, creation of agreements, and also on the EMI reminders, and also on the recovery process. We follow a soft recovery process as well. That is also, there is an in-house team for that.
Okay. So there are steps that Faircent has taken to ensure that the risk is minimized for them.
Exactly. That people do not lose their money.
So Sushmita, this is what Faircent is doing to minimize risk for the lenders. What are the steps that the lender can also take to minimize or mitigate his risk?
Now, firstly, Faircent provides a lot of information of the borrower on the website, which is accessible to the lender.
You had mentioned it is available on the lender dashboard. All the personal, social, financial data about the borrowers are available on the lender dashboard.
Yes. Now, what the lender should do is that analyze and evaluate that information and then make an informed decision to finance or fund that particular borrower. Okay. Now, the next thing is that one must always remember that this is an investment option which has some amount of risk. Okay. So, factoring that delinquency is also important. Okay. And ideally, what we have observed is the delinquency can be anywhere between 1 to 3%. So, if you can factor in that particular delinquency, then you will be having better returns, because as per your expectations. So, if you are having an expectation to get an overall return of around 18 to 22%, then you should look at investing on borrowers between 20 to 24%, let's say. Now, also what happens is that over here quick turnaround time helps in the entire process.
So Sushmita, give us some more tips on how to increase returns. Our lenders would be very excited to learn how to increase their returns.
So, you should spend time understanding what kind of portfolio you are building. Okay. Take informed decisions, and there is an element of time which is also involved, which means that if your turnaround for each and every borrower is quick, then it will help you in getting better return. So, let me clarify this little more. So, what happens is in Faircent there is a process of bidding, where there are multiple bids that you are making. So, once the proposal is agreed on by a borrower.
Multiple bids as in a lender is bidding to a borrower to finance his
to fund his requirement.
At an interest rate.
That's right. So, there are multiple bids that these are being made. Now, whenever such bids are made, this has to be accepted by the borrower. The borrower accepts them within the, let's say, first 24 hours. Then you have to quickly keep the funds ready and get into a quick disbursal time. So, the most important thing over here is to make a proposal or fund the borrower at the right time and choose the correct borrower. That is the secret to having a successful investment in a P2P lending website like Faircent.com.
Our in-house expert making the right offer to the right borrower at the right time is the key to success. This brings us to the end of episode 2 of Fair Advice Live. Thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget to log on to www.faircent.com for more information or to register as a lender. Thank you.